everybody, Matt here from Aroundsquare, and I'm just going to do a little video on how to change and replace the cord on your Remeshok Chetki. Right? It's fairly straightforward, so let's get into it. This cord is, you shouldn't actually need to replace the cords on these guys very often. This is like very old, and you can see there's a little bit of fraying in some of the stress points, but not a lot. And I mean, I play this stuff pretty hard, and I've been using this particular cord for like multiple months. So yeah, it shouldn't be something that you have to do very often, but a few people have asked, so I'll get into it. Start by snipping the old cord. Okay. Then if you can slide it out without disrupting things too much, then makes the install of the new cord a little bit easier. Okay, so I usually use like a book or a straight edge of some sort to straighten these guys out. And if you're lucky, you can just feed the new cord through. So if you end up with a frayed cord here, I recommend put a little dab of white glue on it and kind of work it in a little bit, and then kind of pinch it flat. That's what we do when we're preparing the replacement cords to ship with the product. So then just slide around through. And if you're careful, yeah, it just shoots right out the other side, right? All right. And back the other way. Haven't given myself enough slack. Okay, here we go. Okay, you can do it one by one, of course, as well, but this is way faster. All right, then you probably won't need all of the cord that you've got there, but always even out the slack anyways. All right, then I'm gonna close that for the moment. You can see that I've got a little spacer here off to the side. This is one of our micro standard beads. It's about 12 millimeters. This is what I use, what we use in the shop here as a little spacer to measure the amount of slack to leave in here. Some people like more slack or less slack, but this is what we've been using. Okay. All right. So yeah, we just use one of these micro standards as a little spacer. So if you want it to be like easier to put on your wrist, you can always leave a little bit more slack than that. But this is kind of what we use as the standard. All right. Then I'm not going to spend a lot of time showing you guys the snake knots that we use. If you're looking for a good tutorial, check out Tim from Weavers of Eternity. And basically the way that I do these guys is just top one here goes over and around. Okay, and then the other side goes around all of that underneath and pulls through. Okay, so you end up with something that looks like this. So yeah, check out Tim from Weavers of Eternity. He's got the best tutorials around for any of your knot work, and he's a part of this community as well, and a long-time friend and supporter of what we're doing here. And so I always like to give him a shout out. Okay, he's also got great tutorials on making your own Bigleri, even making your own Chetki from paracord. Okay, so I've got my one knot tied, and you know, you can cinch it up tight, but I don't get too concerned about how tight that is. Okay, next one, I do 3 on this side, and then I put on a little 8 millimeter bead in the middle, and then 3 more. So that's 1. Here's number 2. Okay, I'm not going to take too much time to dress the knot, but if you're being careful as you tie them, it's pretty easy to go along. All right. Number 3, and I always try to tie knots with like the minimum amount of slack in them, because then it's just way easier to tighten them and dress them. Right? Okay, there's my three knots. So I can take this guy out, and you can see what the knots look like there. Right now, I'm gonna take off the micro boss here. I've got a Zerky tie micro boss. We're actually trying to get more of these exotics in, because I know people are looking for little accents all the time. So we should be able to make these available before too long. So just slide this guy on. Now, because these have a 3.5 millimeter bore and the cord is pretty thin, you do need to be a little bit cautious when you tie your next knot. If you end up tying this next knot really snug, then you run the risk of the bore being a little bit too big and slipping over the knot. So I usually tie this one just a little bit more slack in it, okay? Just to make sure that this bead is not going to slide off. We haven't yet hit a production level on these guys where we're making custom bore sizes on these guys. So these are just our regular 8 millimeter bores, and they all have 8.8 millimeter beads, and they've got a 3.5 millimeter bore. All right. Okay, then the next one, we can go a little tighter. Okay. A little bit tighter, and I pull that one down a little bit more. Okay, and the last one. And this one, you want to tie it really tight, and it's not going to cinch too much up against that bead because it's there's two other knots in the way there. But you want to cinch this one good and tight, because Kevlar, if you don't pull it really tight, it does have a tendency to pull apart on you, and you don't want to be having to fiddle with it. So get that one good and snug. And I like the way this looks too. If you kind of taper them, put the white background in there. If you go looser by the bead and then tighter towards the end, it just has a nice kind of pitch to it. Okay, so we're almost done. Last step is you can do either a double overhand or a triple overhand knot here. Again, you'll find lots of tutorials online. It's such a basic knot. I don't even know if Tim has a tutorial on this one, but it's just a very basic knot. And I use my old one just to reference how much slack I like to give myself. So that's about right. Looks like I gave myself a triple overhand last time when I tied this up, but a double overhand is easier to tie, especially with this fiddly little cord, and it does the trick just fine. So pull that good and snug, and then do the other one, same length. And again, these ones, you want to be pulling this one good and tight, because Kevlar, it's let's say nearly impossible, very hard to melt the ends of it. So if you just leave it loose, then it's going to fray on you and kind of start unraveling. And the other nice thing about having these little knots here is that if you do find yourself wanting to cinch up that knot at the very end, the knot gives you something to hold on to. Okay, then just trim off the ends. I usually put my fingernail down there just as a little guideline. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's got it. Fresh cord on these guys. All right. So for those of you who have been asking, that's about as best as I can do explanation-wise. And yeah, check out Tim from Weavers of Eternity for his snake knot tutorial if you want more details on these guys. All right. Thanks a lot, and hope you continue loving your stuff. Okay, bye.